Diesel's been messing with stuff again.
What?
I was talking to the stream.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on the radio. This is the Fan Upstate Happy Hump Day. Wednesday morning. It is 9 a.m. and it is great to be with y'all one more time again. I am Rob Brown. Howdy. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Directly across from me, on the other side of the metaphorical glass, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate. He is the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. He is the great one. Lonzo is here, and ladies and gentlemen, that is the sound of Lonzo's impending doom.
Yeah, you're showing the unicorn side, you know. So,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
The box of Bootios that we'll be serving as Lonzo's Boo Box for the season.
It has Boo in it. It just makes sense.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, you know, I was just looking, and there we go.
It's perfect.
And
Perfect.
Nothing with like some power of positivity to go with the negativity that's going to be me picking out of that box.
So here's what we got going on today. We got a couple of things we're going to get to. First off, coming up at 10 a.m., exactly 1 hour from right now, we will be joined by Miss Emily Adams. Emily is the newest beat reporter for the Greenville News. She covers South Carolina football. Longtime friend of the show, Corey Diaz, got an opportunity to move back to Louisiana, back closer to his family. He is now covering LSU for a different outfit down in the Bayou. And Emily has taken Corey's spot. Emily will take his spot here as friend of the show as well. So Emily's coming up at 10 a.m. Coming up at 11:20. Since we did not get a chance to do it yesterday, we'll do Faces and Heels today. We had an interview yesterday and unfortunately had to push the benchmark. So we'll do a little late Faces and Heels coming up today. So probably top of the hour, probably 11 a.m., Lonzo will draw for the Boo Box. Now, when I asked you guys over the past week and a half to come up with some suggestions to go and do Lonzo's Boo Box, he went 5-5, which, by the way, picking 50% in Vegas is a pretty good line. Unfortunately for him, I just had a good week at 6-4. Considering you guys gave us a handful, but a lot of them just weren't quite up to snuff. And considering there were a couple that after further deliberation we had to remove from the Boo Box for various reasons, you guys now have the opportunity today to get in any last-minute suggestions to add to Lonzo's Boo Box, because there's only like 8 of them in there as of right now. There's only like 8 of them, and a couple of them are wear a t-shirt. We got wear a Michigan t-shirt. We got wear a Tom Brady t-shirt in there. We added a couple of your suggestions, including sing a song live on the air, but then we made it worse. Sing a song live on the air from a band that you hate, which means we're likely going to get some Bryan Adams if that is the draw that Lonzo makes. We'll get a Bryan Adams tune on the air today. So we will give you one last opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, one last chance to get a couple of Boo Box bets, punishment suggestions into Lonzo's Boo Box before 11 a.m. when he makes his draw and finds out what his week 1 punishment will be. If you want to make a punishment suggestion to have it added to Lonzo's Boo Box before 11, there are a couple of ways to do it.
Wait. Don't listen to anything that he's saying right now. Do not send in suggestions. Do not just be silent when it comes to the boo box, because there's enough in there. We don't need more variety in there. We don't need that. You don't want to see me suffer, do you? I mean, I'm your boy. You don't want to see me suffer.
So anyway, you can text those punishments in to 71307. Start your text with fan boo and then add your punishment. 71307, 71307. Start your text with fan boo and then give Lonzo's suggestion for the boo box punishment that he would draw at 11 a.m.
If you work in the building, we're not accepting anything from you. I'm just, just stay in your lane and don't come in here and
Captain America Chris Evans down the hall was in the office this morning, and I was like, "You got any suggestions for punishments?" And he said, "I'll come up with a few." And Chris has known Lonzo a heck of a lot longer than I have. I will tell you that we did take Eat a Carolina Reaper on the air out of the box. And let me tell you why. Chris came into the office today, and he was like, we were talking about the Boo Box Bets punishments, and he said, and I mentioned that Eat a Carolina Reaper, or actually it was Eat a Carolina Reaper salsa. I make homemade salsa. I was going to cut up a Carolina Reaper and drop it in the salsa, and whoever drew that would basically have a mini bowl of salsa with chips that they would have to eat during the show. But I took that out. And I took it out because Captain America Chris Evans down the hall came in and shared with us a video of Ryan Reynolds, a.k.a. Deadpool, and Steve-O from Jackass. And the premise was Ryan and Steve-O have started a new software platform, and they were advertising for it. And Steve-O was going to eat a Carolina Reaper and then do his part of the advertisement. So he took a chunk, he took a bite out of a Reaper, chewed it up real good and swallowed. And then I watched Steve-O suffer. Now, I've watched pretty much every Jackass film so far. I watched Steve-O back when Steve-O's life was a wreck. I have watched the films that he's done since he got his life back together. And good on him, by the way. It's a great look to see Steve-O have his life back together. It's a real good look. But he ate this Reaper. And Steve-O was in bad shape. Steve-O was in bad. He was like drooling on himself. He was dry heaving. He was drinking milk, and then it was just like literally falling out of his mouth. He was blowing snot rockets to try to get the pepper out of his nose. And it's not so much that we're not going to suffer a little bit if we lose in the picks. It's less about the suffering and more about the fact that we can't put on that subpar of a show, right? We can't put on that subpar of a show because Steve-O couldn't talk. He was drooling on himself because his mouth was just going numb from this pepper. They brought in, for Steve-O, a team of medical professionals in case he had a reaction to this pepper, which I can guarantee you Odyssey is not going to sign off on. They brought in a team of medical professionals who, by the way, if you didn't catch it, Zoe, were all wearing medical face masks, latex gloves, long sleeves, long pants, glasses, safety glasses, goggles. They basically were not playing with this thing.
Well, the thing is, from what I understand about a Carolina Reaper, if you even touch it, it takes you a while to get it off your fingers. So, yeah. And they had a bowl full of those.
Yeah.
I would not be able to function maybe for a couple of days.
Correct.
That would be bad.
Correct. So we've taken the Reaper out. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Texter said, is Man Bun and Duke's mayo in there. I did not put the mayo challenge in there. I will have to add that before 11 a.m.
I would like to know who could eat a small jar of mayonnaise, no matter what kind it is, and not get sick.
Chris did add finish a bottle of maple syrup by the end of a show. Now, I wouldn't necessarily make you go with the giant one, but like the mid-sized bottle of maple syrup.
Can I get sugar free?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
All right.
Good with that. Let's see. Texter said Lonzo could get some Just for Men beards and color his beard black, except for the stash, to be like Hulk Hogan. I would accept dye a Hogan goatee.
I'll put it in there.
Dye the goatee black
Put it in
like
there,
Hogan.
because when it's done, I'll just shave it off. I mean, it's not. I mean, you know.
See, I don't know that I could bleach the beard because I can't shave. I look like the world's fattest, oldest toddler when I shave.
Oh no, I look like, the bottom half of King Kong Bundy. So I mean, there's no separation between my chin and my. I mean, it's just all neck.
All
so
right.
yeah.
So we will add. Leave the beard, but dye the stash and goatee black, and we will add the mayo challenge, the Duke's mayo challenge, onto Lonzo's Boo Box bets before 11 a.m.
How much does that stuff cost?
Just for Men, it's not expensive. Don't ask me how I know.
Even for us?
I used to be on TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you had to.
When I was in TV, yeah. Let me tell you real quick.
Wow.
And it's not story time with Rob, but let me tell you this real quick, and then we'll get into the sports. When I got my first TV job, this would have been 6 or 7 years ago. Well, not my first TV job, but I got my television news job. I had done some other TV in the past, play-by-play stuff, sideline stuff. But when I got my first news TV job, I was a field reporter and fill-in weekend anchor, right? Like if the weekend anchor called in and couldn't make it in, they would call me to come read the news on Saturday morning's newscast and Sunday morning's newscast. Right?
How was your posture then?
Phenomenal.
Okay.
I had great news posture.
All right.
Yeah.
So
with the head down, cocked slightly to the side, the back arching. I got one of those big lumbar supports to keep myself arced out. Oh, I had great posture. I was like Mark Ryan taking a picture posture. All right.
That's hard to duplicate.
Yeah. So anyway, I got my first gig. And when I went in, the guy who hired me, who actually works in this area now, he might be listening right now, Kyle. Great dude. One of my favorite people. Kyle hires me to be a reporter. He heard my morning sports show, and he's like, do you want to add a side hustle? It's a full-time gig, but we can make it work around your radio show. So from 6 to 9, I was on the air doing a sports talk radio show. And then at 9:30, I was in the news office in a suit and tie, and I would work on the news till the 6, 7 o'clock newscast, and then I'd be done for the night. So I got the gig. I did it for like 2-3 weeks. And then he comes to me and he's like, man, what do you want to accomplish out of this? And I was like, well, I want to be a sports anchor on TV. I want to be a sports anchor. I would like to anchor the local sports, but I also know how much lead anchors make in TV news. I'm like, I'd be a lead anchor. I would be a lead anchor just for the money, right? And Kyle says, well, man, you can do it. You've got the talent. You've got the ability. You could do that, but you're going to need to drop about 30 pounds before we can put you on as lead anchor, right? It's a possibility down the road because the lead anchors in Pensacola, Sue and Bob, they have been there for like 40 years, right? He's like, but everybody's got to move out at some point. That's a possibility. You've got the talent, but you need to drop like 30 pounds. And Lonzo, that was 30 pounds ago, right? I was about 30 pounds lighter. I think I've told you the story before. The first time I went on the news and I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, how'd I do? And she's like, you did great, but you probably need to drop some lbs. And I said, Mom, the camera adds 10 pounds. And my mother said, how many cameras do they have pointed at you? Right? Kyle's like, you're going to have to drop about 30. It's like 30 pounds to go. Well, I also, fortunately it slowed up, but I also started going gray about that time. I was about 30, 31 at the time. I started going gray at the time. And I'm like, chicks dig the gray hair. Like I've been told now that the beard is starting to gray up on me a little bit. I have had women, including I know there's not that much.
No. There's like one hair sticking out right there, and it's completely white, and you keep missing it.
It's starting to turn on me, and the lady friends like, do not dye the beard. I like the gray. I've been told by women in public before now because like the top of the noggin's starting to turn gray on me as well. They're like chicks dig the gray. But at the time, I'm like, it's not gray enough to, like, have that distinguished look to it. I just like a dude who's got 3 or 4 gray hairs, so I just fermented it jet black to be on the news. I did that one time, and then I'm like, oh, I actually look like a bigger idiot. Actually look like I'm wearing a toupee now. So I undid it and went right back to it.
Wait. How do you undid it? How do you do?
You let it fade out for a while, and then I just dyed it back to its brown. It's like dark brown, and then just let it grow out.
So you're not like the women who just dye their hair so much that they don't realize or remember what their natural color is. Yeah.
No, I dyed it.
I'm sure there are dudes that do it too, but it seems to be more women. That
Texture said, "Who said Carolina Reaper? I thought it was the Packy one chip challenge. We are replacing the Reaper with the one chip challenge. So the
Probably going to have the same results.
The consumption challenges in the box right now are the Packy One Chip Challenge. Eat a small jar of Duke's Mayo during the show. Finish a small bottle of I'm not saying small. I'm not saying like the individual serving size. Like the mid-sized bottle of sugar-free maple syrup. So Packy, mayo, syrup are in there. What else is in there right now? A Brady T-shirt is in there. A Michigan T-shirt is in there. We will be adding dye just the mustache and the goatee, Hulk Hogan style, and wear it for a day. We'll be in there. And whatever else you guys want to add, that is not like corporate is going to say no to. You guys have till 11 a.m. to get it in, and we will add those to Lonzo's Bootio's Boo Box. See, there's only like 8 in there right now. We need some more suggestions.
The syrup thing and the mayonnaise thing, they both worry
Sound
me.
awful, yeah.
No, I'm worried about legitimately getting sick. So, I mean,
You'll be all right. I've done the syrup one before.
No. You were all right.
Fair enough.
Everyone's bodies are different.
Fair enough. Josh said, hey, Rob, your short stories are not really short. So I've been told, Skrilla. So I've been told.
But they do make it till the end of a segment.
Coming up next on the show, we continue looking back at Clemson's win. We will talk some Clemson football because Dabo Swinney said having not everything go right was actually good. It was actually good that not everything went right. It was actually good that things took a while to get rolling for the Tigers. Is Dabo correct? We'll break that down. Plus, you know who had some really nice things to say about Cade Klubnik and his performance on that final drive? DJ Uiagalelei did. I'll tell you what DJ had to say and more. Then coming up at 11 a.m., Emily Adams covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. Emily's going to join us to break down the Week 1 dub over Georgia State in the Week 2 game in Arkansas. Plus, do you remember, Lonzo, what I told you I would have set the line at for South Carolina versus Arkansas?
I'm thinking about mayonnaise and syrup right now.
Lonzo's checked out.
Yeah.
Lonzo's checked out. I get it. I understand that. I told you yesterday that line would be set at 9.5. What is it set at? Stay tuned. I'll tell you. Coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, stay tuned. Stream. Got to do a read. I will be right back.
I'm a troublemaker. I'm guessing someone got really bored in here last night because things are very clean.
All right. Hulk Hogan beard has been added.
So I used to have a buddy. I don't know if you guys have had anyone like this who would come to mom. If my mom wasn't home and he was over hanging with me, my mom had a lot of what she calls knickknacks, basically little figurines and stuff. He would go in and turn them all backwards just to see if she would notice. And she did.
My favorite one is the folks on the internet who replace family photos with photos of like Kim Jong-un or Brendan Fraser on like gallery walls just to see if mom notices.
You could turn one just like a partial turn and she would notice.
What's your least favorite TV show on TV right now?
Don't really watch TV. I mean, all I watch is sports and wrestling. So pretty much anything probably. Am I going to have to be forced to watch a television show?
Because I've got to watch a full season of The Big Bang Theory as a punishment. I hate that show.
That probably would be a punishment for me, too. I just have no interest in it at all. I don't know. And why would I tell you what my least favorite? I mean, there's enough punishment in there already. I ain't helping you no more.
Dude, we got 18 weeks of this.
I know. And once it gets going and punishment starts, people will get creative. They need to see that first couple. I trust and probably will come to detest portions of the audience before this is over.
All right, so the Hulk Hogan beard has been added to the Boo Box. The Duke's Mayo Challenge has been added to the Boo Box. And as one that both Lonzo and I share, there's like 6 or 7 of them that are in both Boo Boxes. One of them, an entire season of The Big Bang Theory, a show that we both detest.
Yeah, my cousin tried to go, you'd really like this. And I watched like 5 minutes and went, this is offensive to me. I ain't watching this show.
I hate that show.
Yeah.
Texas said Zoe has to bear hug a coworker, turn it into a bear hug, lift someone off their feet for a brief moment and say, I love you.
No, I'm not doing that. Unless I lose, I guess.
Yeah. In fairness, that's not a punishment. That would be hilarious to me.
If I were to lose and get the die, I may go down and just walk into the middle of the Rise Guys show and just yell brother. And then walk out. I might do that.
Yesterday I told you we were talking about the Vegas odds for South Carolina versus Arkansas. And we saw a couple of projections. I think Lonzo said that in fact, I want to say I said the opening projection was 7.5. And I think you said it was going to be more than that. And I
think I said 9 or something like that.
I think you said 9, and I said 9.5. And we were spot on. The line has moved. It is now 9.5. Most of the books said it yesterday night at 9.5. The Gamecocks are 2 touchdown dogs to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm not surprised by that at all. Arkansas's got some dogs in the front 7. They've got some playmakers up front. And South Carolina's number 1 weakness was the offensive line, right? There were some hefty burns on the performance of Spencer Rattler. And I told you, numbers-wise, it was not a great game. Numbers-wise, it was not a great game. Spencer Rattler was 23 of 37 for 227, a touch and 2 picks. In fact, if it wasn't for the 2 blocked punts, South Carolina probably wins that game 17-14, maybe 21-14, instead of 35-14 in a cover. It was not great. The rushing game never really got off the ground. Bell with 39, Lloyd with 30, McDowell with 14. 79 rushing yards against Georgia State. Now, I told you guys coming in, I thought this game might be a little more dicey than some of y'all wanted to give it credit for. Because Georgia State is a good FBS team. It's a good lower level team. I told you, I think Georgia State will beat Duke if they played. Georgia State, in most years, would give Vanderbilt a run. I'm not sure what I expect out of Vanderbilt after they dumped 63 on Hawaii. But they would give a lot of lower level FCS schools a run. Sincerely. It's a good little football team. But they are still a lower level team. They are still an FBS team. You can't walk out of there at home, at night, under the lights, week 1. You can't walk out of there with 79 rushing yards against this team. If you take the yards lost on Spencer Rattler's sacks out of the equation, it still bumps up to 91 rushing yards. You can't do that. You've got to do better. You've got to be able to push them around at the point of attack. And South Carolina straight up failed to do that. The apprehension from Vegas, the apprehension from bettors who leaned heavy into Arkansas after that line dropped, comes from the fact that Arkansas clearly has more talent in the front seven than Georgia State does, and South Carolina's offense got beat up. This went from a team that I said preseason had a genuine crack at 8-4. Genuine crack at 8-4. To Lonzo, unless things get better, being a team that I think is going to be fighting to be bowl eligible. I really do. Arkansas, you're an L. Georgia is an L. Charlotte and NC State should be a win. That's 3-2. Kentucky right now is an L. Texas A&M right now is an L. Missouri's a toss-up game. Vanderbilt's a toss-up game, but you're at Vandy, and that offense just hung 63 on Hawaii, right? You may not, you'll be able to score on Vandy, but Vandy's offense is pretty good. Toss-up game, I'll give you credit for the dub. At Florida looks like an L. They are now ranked inside the top 15, by the way. Tennessee already beat you last year. They've gotten better. That's a toss-up game. I'm going to say an L at home. Then you're at Clemson, number 5 team in the country.
All right. So what would South Carolina, what would they have had to have done in that first game for you to be okay? Because, man, it's been one game, and already you're just, they'll be lucky to make a bowl? Really?
Block and run the ball better.
After one game?
Block and run the ball better.
Didn't you just point out yesterday, I believe, on the show that improvement from game 1 to game 2 is usually,
Sure.
I
would say a 50% improvement in blocking and running. You're still a dog to Arkansas.
Maybe, well, probably, yeah, but maybe the struggles, maybe they went in thinking, oh, we got this, and found out that it was harder than they thought, and maybe it woke them up. Maybe they come out and play really hard against Arkansas. Maybe they win that game.
Texas just said, see if someone will lend a Steph Curry jersey to Zoe. We got Brady in there already.
All right, so obviously people have listened to me for a very long time and understand my disdain for the binkied one. And no, don't put that. Steph Curry and Tom Brady in the box? I know it's punishment, but come on. That's torture. Plus, I don't think they make Steph Curry jerseys larger than medium.
Medium at best. At best. Anyway, 50% improvement in blocking and running, and you're still a dog to Arkansas. Maybe it comes down to 5.5, 6.5, somewhere in that line. You're not beating Georgia. At Kentucky, I don't see a win there. You're not beating Texas A&M. So right now, you're 1-0. Charlotte's a win. SC State's a win. Mizzou and Vanderbilt should be wins. That's 5, Lonzo. That means to get bowl eligible, you've got to find a dub between at Arkansas, Kentucky, and Tennessee. You got to dig a dub out, right? Because here's the thing. By the time you roll around at Clemson this year, right, when the Palmetto Bowl shows up, you're either going to have a DJ Uiagalelei who's playing good enough to beat Cade Klubnik, or you're going to have Cade Klubnik. Now, I will tell you, the knee-jerk reactions of knee-jerk reactions is what we're going to talk about coming up here in the next segment. It is not time to start a quarterback controversy on the campus at Clemson yet. Cade had a good drive in garbage time late in the game. It was excellent. It was a well-manufactured, well-executed drive with some good throws out of Cade Klubnik. But if you put the numbers of DJ solely on DJ, you're doing it wrong. It's the same problems they had last year, blocking and not dropping the football, right? But if you're South Carolina, that Clemson game looks a lot like an L already. So if you want bowl eligibility for a team I thought had a shot in 8-4, why? Because I thought they'd be better than Missouri. I thought they'd be better than Vandy. I was kind of counting on Florida not being all that good this year. And heck, we, again, knee-jerk reaction. I don't know how good Florida is. That was a good win over Utah, but Utah practices high in the hills. They were in the most humid environment in college football. Florida was hyped under a new head coach. Will they come back to earth? I don't know. Either way, right now, South Carolina is a dog to Florida. I thought that was a toss-up game. South Carolina at home is probably a dog to Tennessee. I thought that would be a game they'd be favored in, right? Bowl eligibility, 6-6, has now become the mark for the Gamecocks this year.
I don't want to go fanboy here, so I'm not going to completely. Oh, you're just wrong, and I'm not going to. I mean, you could be right, but I'm not going to react after one game. Why is it okay to react a certain way with other people after one game and not? It's one game. It's one game. How many more touchdowns would they have had to score to where you're okay? One more, two more?
It's not about scoring touchdowns in this case. Like, I know that's the goal, right? It's about how you moved up and down the field. What would I have needed to see? Georgia State not dominating the line of scrimmage. I'm not talking had a better day than the Gamecocks. I'm talking dominating the line of scrimmage, owning the line of scrimmage. And for a lot of that game, they did.
Well, I hope Arkansas looks at the Georgia State game and goes, we got this. No big deal.
I mean, Arkansas overlooking South Carolina would be big. That'd be a big help.
But will you come in Monday and after the Gamecocks beat Arkansas, if they did, and say, well, this was because Arkansas overlooked them, not because South Carolina won the game? What would they have to do to convince you to that game one was just kind of them playing down the competition?
Again,
a 1-point win, is that good enough?
It's not about. I mean, yes, a win's big. Going 2-0 and a win over Arkansas would be huge. On the road at a top 25 team would absolutely be enormous for the Gamecocks.
Well, I'm guessing this is probably going to be on the picks, and we know which way you're leaning. So,
yeah, 100%.
I mean, yeah.
100%. As of right now, and we'll pick on Friday, and that game will be in the mix. As of right now, I'm leaning Arkansas. 100% leaning Arkansas. Let's take a break. When we come back, it is not time to call for a quarterback controversy yet on the campus of Clemson. DJ had some nice things to say about Cade. Dabo had some nice things to say about Cade. I had some nice things to say about Cade. Everybody had some nice things to say about Cade. But it is not time to start calling for the replacement quite yet. We'll break that down coming up next. Rob Lonzo, you, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. wear khaki shorts for a week.
By the way, thanks, James. Here's the problem. There are people like on the radio, like maybe even on this station, who think they can dictate what fandom is, and they cannot. Your fandom's your own. You know what? You could be a fan of all 32 teams. I don't care. I'm not going to judge you. But Kansas City has always been my AFC team, and the Panthers, ever since I've been here, which has been 25 years, have been my NFC team. So, just like I have two favorite college teams. Dana White comments on alleged near altercation in club with Nate Diaz. We were drinking, was his response.
I mean, to go toe-to-toe with one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. Lonzo, I've never been that drunk in my life. In my life, I've never been drunk enough.
Well, I haven't been, I haven't taken.
I hung out with a lot of boxers.
I was gonna say I've been around a bunch.
Yeah.
I've been around likes to fight guy a bunch. So.
Yeah, I've never been that drunk.
Why? I want to hear about REO Speedwagon. Horrible. Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that. It's so weird. Our TV on the wall over there is way behind on the stream. I'm very statuesque as I look at all my screens for breaking news. Not funny, Steven. Not funny. Not funny. I have failed. I realize my mistake, and it's already been made.
What's that? Oh.
If someone pays attention.
REO Speedwagon?
No, James, you are not locked in to whatever city that you root for. You don't have to root for every team in that city. But you know what? Even if I said that, who am I? I am not your boss. I can't tell you what to do. You know what? I'm the arbiter of nothing. Why are you writing, Rob?
A text suggestion.
Okay. That's when I became I didn't have a team growing up, Trey, but I became a fan when I was a Joe Montana fan, and he got messed over.
Joe Montana?
And so when Joe Montana went
quarterback, you idiot.
Yes, when he went to Kansas City, so did I. Him and Marcus Allen, both the same year.
I don't have an issue with multiple teams unless they're rivals.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Like I've got a friend.
I wouldn't do that.
I've got a friend in Destin who's like, he grew up a Falcons fan, but then when the Saints won the Super Bowl, he's like, I like them. I'm like, nah, dude, you can't. No, you can't be a Florida and Florida State fan. You can't be a Clemson. I actually know a guy who.
I think if you put away all your other gear, and you're done with that team, I think that's okay. I think you can root for a rival if you're just completely done.
But I need a reason for it, right? Not just like, oh, I like them now. Like, why? Like, I got a buddy who's in the soccer group he did his undergrad at South Carolina, but then he did his grad work at Clemson, and I was a Clemson fan. but he's got a degree from South Carolina. I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
Oh, man, I just realized it's almost 10 o'clock. No.
Tick-tock. Hour and 15 minutes for you guys to get your last few suggestions for punishments into the Booty-O's Boo Box.
All right, I'm confused because... Oh, no. 10 o'clock's the interview.
10 o'clock's the interview, 11 o'clock's the draw.
Okay, it's not as close as I thought.
Yeah.
All right. I'm all over the place for good reason.
Got a lot going on today. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Emily Adams is the new Gamecocks beat reporter for the Greenville News. She's going to join us right here on the air to talk a little Gamecock football. We'll take a look back at the Week 1 win over Georgia State and the Week 2 matchup with Arkansas, with Emily Adams coming up here in about 15 minutes. At 11 o'clock, suggestions will be closed for the day, and Lonzo draws from the Boo Box. There's a lot in there now. You guys have come up with some good ones.
Boss, I don't feel so well.
I'm going to be sick all next week, Big Mark. Rob's got to produce his own show all next week. I'm out. Not feeling great.
By the way, I will never call him that, what you just called him.
Well, Okay.
There's only one Mark in this building. Literally, there's only one.
Yeah, well, that's literally correct.
There's that.
So there have been a lot of people who had a lot of nice things to say about Cade Klubnik. Chapel Fowler, who covers Clemson for the State, opened with this. Tell me if this feels like it's a little much for a guy who's run one drive in garbage time against the Georgia Tech backup defense. Here's how Chapel Fowler opened his article about Cade Klubnik, Lonzo. Quote, "The poise, the confidence, the it factor. True freshman quarterback Cade Klubnik took a mere 10 snaps in Clemson football's Monday night win, but his sharp play on a 66-yard scoring drive sent the internet into a tizzy and raised further questions about where he stands in relation to starter DJ Uiagalelei as the Tigers shoot for the college football playoff."
Cade.
It just feels a little dramatic is all, right?
It feels normal for a certain fan base. Yeah, it feels absolutely normal. It's always the guy that Dabo has starting, who he's loyal to, and there's that guy just waiting in the wings, and the fan base always wants that guy. A couple times they were right. This time, I'm not so sure they win this battle.
My guy has taken 10 snaps, guys. 10 snaps. 10 snaps.
Yeah, but as I've been told many times, it's quality, not quantity.
Cade has taken 10 snaps. He threw the ball, what, 6 times? Won it 6 times? He was 4 of 6, 49 yards and a touch. And don't get me wrong.
Wait. He had some incompletions? That's not what I've read about. All I've read about is how amazing he should be the starter right now, what is going on.
And one scramble for
Dabo don't know what he's doing. We know what's going on here. He needs to start him, and they need to throw tight ends more.
Listen, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely believe that to some degree, Dabo's principles, and I think all of us suffer from this at times in our lives. This is not a Dabo exclusive thing. But I absolutely think that there are points where Dabo's principles would lead to him not necessarily making the most rational choices, right? There is a loyalty to DJ Uiagalelei. I think that there is an element of believing that young guys need some time on the pine to learn how the program works in season. I got no issue with any of that.
The most admirable part about Dabo is the fact that he's loyal. I love that about that guy.
Loyal, and may I say, potentially, and I'm going to emphasize that, bold it, italicize it, up the font size, potentially loyal to a fault. But I do not think it is loyalty to a fault that is keeping Dabo or keeping DJ Uiagalelei on the field. I do not think it is loyalty to a fault. I don't think DJ played that poorly. 19 to 32, 210 and a touch. Realistically, that number should be probably 24 of 32, 300 and a touch. Maybe 2. Actually, should be 2, right? If those numbers were 24 of 32, 300, 2 touches, no picks, it's a different ballgame.
At what point is this no longer a story and it just becomes sad that people are unrealistic about the expectations for the backup quarterback? I mean, there is nothing that DJ can do in the eyes of some of these fans that's going to satisfy them because he didn't take them to the national championship last year.
Yeah, I was telling you guys that I was out at the warehouse in Midtown on Monday night watching that game and talking to a Clemson fan that after DJ orchestrated a touchdown drive, the first touchdown drive that Clemson put together, after DJ orchestrated the first touchdown drive in the second quarter, I'm like, that what you're looking for? Right? Is that what you're looking for? And he's like, nah, still wasn't good enough. I'm like, that's the best outcome. You cannot have a better outcome
Again,
than that.
They win a national championship. They go all the way through. They go undefeated. They win a national championship. They'll say Cade could have done it better because they've already wrote off DJ.
I mean, I do think there is one situation that's being formed here. And Lonzo has been hitting on this for months now. And it kind of came to fruition and was illustrated for me on Monday night. Right? No matter what happens, it's DJ's fault. I kind of feel like he was correct, and that is the attitude of Clemson fans right now, right? DJ had guys dropping passes. Oh, should have been better throws. Yeah, it hit him in the hands. It came down over the top of his helmet instead of 3 inches to the right over his shoulder. What a terrible throw, right? We don't talk about receivers dropping footballs. We don't talk about the offensive line falling apart. There's just a lot that didn't get discussed, didn't get talked about. And I don't know, man. I think you guys are going to cause unrest where there doesn't need to be any. I'll tell you the other thing. If you are one of the guys on Monday night at the bar I was at or anywhere else, hooting and hollering for Cade to come in and replace DJ, does it mean that you don't trust Dabo Swinney? Does it mean that you don't trust Dabo? Does it mean that you think Dabo Swinney's making the wrong decision? It kind of feels like it does, right? If Cade was head and shoulders above, and listen, again, I just said Dabo's loyalty may come at a fault. If Dabo genuinely thinks that Cade Klubnik is a better quarterback, but is sticking with DJ Uiagalelei because DJ was already there, because DJ's already the guy, then yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. I want the best quarterback out there. I don't care who's been on campus longer. I want the guy who gives us the best chance to win. But guys, he took 10 snaps. 4 of 6, 49 yards and a touch. It was a great showing in 10 snaps in garbage time with the game already decided. Do not start the quarterback controversy because all you're going to do is wreck whatever confidence DJ has felt. You're going to get Dabo upset with the fan base, and we know that Dabo can get a bit emotional. And you're going to blow up Cade Klubnik's head. You know who else had a big head going into their first year? DJ Uiagalelei. And how'd that go for him? It's nothing but bad if you start a quarterback controversy now. Emily Adams of the Greenville News next to talk Gamecock football on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Yes, indeed, James. We are going to talk because, ladies and gentlemen, your Atlanta Braves are tied for first place in the NL East. All right, we're going to go off stream so I can give Lonzo a phone number. We will be right back.
Negative or happy? You know, if I didn't know better, Stephen, I would say sometimes the fans of both shows try to cause problems and try to get people to comment, you know, just so
Nuh-uh.
I would just say I don't know because I can't listen to every show on the station at all times because I got stuff. So just 1 hour until my pain begins. I have a feeling of dread. Everything's a work, Stephen. It's my mantra. It's my creed.
And away we go. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have you at 10 a.m. on a beautiful upstate Wednesday morning. One more hour till Lonzo draws his punishment out of the boo box. If you want to get in any suggestions for potential punishments that the great one must suffer due to taking an L in our spread picks in week 1, now's your chance. Text them into the show at 71307. Start your text with FAN, and then give us your punishment.
Now, here's the thing. I normally want you to listen to everything that Rob says because that means you're listening to the show, and that's good for us. But in this case, just ignore everything he just said. Yeah. There are enough punishments in there already, some of which are already making me queasy without me sticking my hand in the Bootios box to pull out the punishment. My hand won't fit in there, so
58 minutes and 30 seconds.
Whatever. I just want to point out that the punishment, even though I may draw I will draw a punishment today, will not be paid up today.
No, it'll be tomorrow or Friday or maybe over the weekend, depending on what it is.
Yeah. It will get paid up.
Or upon the acquisition of the merch required.
Because unlike other people who have been on the station from time to time, no.
No squelchers here.
Yeah.
To the phone lines we go to welcome in a voice that I hope you will be hearing repeatedly and often on the show. We had Corey Diaz on for a while. Corey was the Gamecocks beat reporter for the Greenville News. Corey got an opportunity to head back down to Louisiana, a little closer to family, to cover LSU and other schools around the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area. And stepping in to the bullpen we go to welcome in the young lady who now fills that role. Emily Adams is the new Gamecock beat reporter for the Greenville News and joins us, making her debut appearance on the Rob Brown Show. Emily, good morning. Welcome in. Good to have you.
Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Excited to hopefully I can live up to the bar that Corey has clearly set very high.
I will tell you, Corey brought noise, but I think you're going to do just fine. You can follow Emily on Twitter. That Twitter handle is at EAAdams6. If you want to give her a follow on the social media. First and foremost, Emily, let us introduce you to the Rob Brown Armada across the upstate. You were in Knoxville before you got here. You were covering lower level college and high school sports. Give folks a little bit of a background of Emily Adams and how you came to be covering an SEC school here in the upstate.
Yeah, I've been kind of all over the place. I'm originally from Philly. I went to college in upstate New York, and then my first gig out of college was down in Knoxville, mostly covering high schools. And then I was assisting, obviously, with a little bit of Tennessee coverage here and there. The only Tennessee football game I've ever been to was the Ole Miss game last year. So that was a real fun introduction into SEC football. So naturally, this gig came up when Corey was leaving. I'm a huge women's basketball person. So obviously South Carolina is really the place to be for that right now, and throw SEC football into the mix. And it's a tough gig to turn down. So that's really how I ended up here. And yeah, got thrown into preseason camp a couple weeks before the start of the season. So, figuring everything out slowly but surely. But feel like after that first game's under the belt, now I'm full pedal to the floor.
Let's talk about it. So South Carolina under Shane Beamer, and I want to get your thoughts on women's basketball as well, because I also am a big fan. I have loved watching what this women's basketball program has become recently. But let's talk football for a minute. South Carolina under Shane Beamer has a different feel about it than it has under previous head coaches, specifically Will Muschamp, obviously, in that they've got this if you're part of this program, you are really proud to be a part of this program. The whole welcome home slogan has hit big amongst South Carolina fans. What has your experience so far with Shane Beamer, with this program, covering press conferences, covering the game, etc.? What has your experience with the university been like since you showed up?
Honestly, I think Shane is that culture that you see from them on social media, the way that they, interact with each other, the way that they interact with players, the way they interact with prospects. I think that's very real. Even just the way that Shane presents in press conferences, for the most part, he's very transparent. He's pretty accessible. I think, what they're putting out is genuinely the way that coaching staff is and the culture that they want to create. And I think you even saw that, after Georgia State and, the offensive line was kind of getting piled on and, perhaps deservedly so. But, you see running back Marshawn Lloyd, you see Spencer Rattler, you see Mo Kaba all, on social media defending that group, sticking up for their team. And I think there is a really good atmosphere and vibe around the program right now, even if it's not, college football playoff bound. I think Shane has it going in the right direction for sure.
Emily Adams covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News, and I'm glad you said that, because my biggest takeaway from that game was that the offensive line has to be better. I said at the beginning of the year, Emily, I think this team has the talent on paper to win 8 games. I thought 8-4 was genuinely realistic, but one game into this season, and I'm like, 6-6 is going to be a fight. Bowl eligibility is going to be a fight. And it comes down to Spencer Rattler can't do everything he's advertised as being able to do unless he gets better offensive line play. Lonzo thinks that I'm overreacting to one game so far. What are your thoughts going eyes on that team?
Well, I'll tell you, Shane Beamer agrees with Lonzo. He was not terribly thrilled with us in the local media on our Sunday teleconference with him, just asking about those offensive issues. I think the thing that concerns me with that offensive line is that it really isn't just one game. It's also all 13 games last year. Almost everyone on that offensive line is a returning starter. They're all veteran upperclassmen. And so to have a showing like what they had on Saturday against, a defensive line that is 20 pounds lighter and 4 inches shorter than the average SEC lineman, that is what doesn't bode well for me. I think that it brings up the concern that, you could last year chalk it up to a new coaching staff. You could chalk it up to them learning that system. This year, all offseason, that staff was talking about our veteran offensive line. They're all versatile. They all understand how to play as a unit. And then that didn't feel like it translated to the field. And so that's what worries me, is whether it's fixable. And I'm not going to say that it's not. I mean, it definitely, they could show up at Arkansas and, have shaken off those first game jitters and look 100 times better. But I'm inclined to believe the worst until I see proof that it's improving.
Emily is me. She's one of my people. Everything is terrible until it's not. I respect that so much. Emily Adams from the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. So, I'm kind of in that same boat. In fact, I had a guy ask me off the air yesterday when we were talking about Carolina's offensive line who kind of said the same thing, right? Oh, first game jitters, Rob. I would be fine with that if 3 or 4 starters were true freshmen or redshirt guys getting their first snap, Emily. But these are all vets. These were all guys who have been there, who have done that. This is not their first game. They are games deep into their career. And to have, am I wrong in saying that for the most part defensively, Georgia State pretty much dominated the line of scrimmage, and now all of a sudden, when I was thinking, hey, at Arkansas, that might be a game the Gamecocks and surprise. Now I'm looking at like Tennessee and Missouri and going, those are going to be the fights if the offensive line can't beat Georgia State.
Yeah, I'm not at the point where I'm worried about Missouri yet, but I think it could get there. Again, if they look like they looked on Saturday against Arkansas, I will be a lot. I mean, I'm a little concerned now. I will be a lot more concerned if there's no improvement from week 1 to week 2. I think, Tennessee, Florida, and Kentucky are those big toss-up games for them, I think. And, I mean, especially looking at Kentucky, that I think is going to set the tone for that back half of the season when they have Tennessee and Florida back-to-back and then Clemson right after that. Like, I think if they can't hang with Arkansas, like, I don't think they need to beat Arkansas. I'll be honest. Like, I have picked them to lose to Arkansas in all my preseason stuff. But I think they just need to look better. They need to look like a team that can hang with Kentucky and can hang with Tennessee at home and can hang with Florida. And, I think if they don't, that's when it's time to press the panic button a little bit.
We're talking with Emily Adams, South Carolina beat reporter for the Greenville News. Talk to me a little bit about Spencer Rattler. The other host on the station said that, people were expecting Spencer to show up and in 1 year potentially make his name as the best to ever do it under center for the Gamecocks, but he did not look the part on Saturday. Is that because there's a learning curve for Spencer coming into a new program, learning a new offense, etc.? Or do you, as I do, Emily, just attribute that to playing behind a Swiss cheese offensive line that basically had him playing for his life most downs?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. Shane said post-game on Saturday that, he thinks it is still kind of a combination of Spencer trying to, get more comfortable in the offense and also, the staff trying to figure out what he is comfortable with and what his strengths are. Although I will say I don't think most of the issues on Saturday were his fault. Obviously, the interceptions were bad. That, turnovers were his issue at Oklahoma, and 2 interceptions in game 1 that did not bode well to me. However, I think if the offensive line had played better, and 2, if OC Marcus Satterfield had used those downfield options more. I mean, we really did not see them push the perimeter at all outside of a couple of moments. Obviously, he hit Jalen Brooks on that big, 39-yarder early on, and then they didn't really take a long shot for most of the rest of the game. And, Rattler's whole thing is that he has the arm strength that most South Carolina quarterbacks have not had in recent memory. So I don't know why they're not using that as much. We didn't really get a clear answer to that post game. So I think if the play calling suits his strengths more, if the offensive line can, improve on that pass protection, I think he has the potential to fill that greatest to ever do it role. But I'm not I was underwhelmed on Saturday by what I saw against a group of 5 team that is good. I mean, no knocks to Georgia State. Like that is a strong group of 5 team, but it's not SEC competition. And, you know, it has to be better than that against the SEC. It just has to.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. And I've been saying the same thing, which is, you know, I've seen a lot of Gamecocks fans who have been singing the praises of Georgia State, a team that's got a coach that knows the program well and has a lot of talent. And I've even gone so far as to say, I think Georgia State would beat a lot of lower level FCS teams. I think Georgia State could beat a Duke. I think they could beat, a couple of smaller schools at the FCS level. But that's not a good argument for Gamecocks fans, right? Like it's like saying, yeah, the guy we just lost to beats everybody else at pickup basketball in middle school. Well, I mean, it still is what it is. You've got to get better. What do you need to see? Lonzo asked me this question earlier, so I'll ask it to you. What do you want to see on Saturday when the Gamecocks are 9.5-point dogs to Arkansas to make you feel better about the trajectory of this season?
I think if we can go interceptionless, that would be a good sign for me about Rattler. That, you know, that first game was truly first game jitters, getting comfortable with his targets, getting comfortable in the offense. You know, if he looks more controlled, if his decision making, you know, looks more confident, that will make me, that alone will make me feel significantly better about him. I think in terms of the offensive line specifically, I don't even know it's hard to judge what they can do in a week to improve on a group that's been together for over a year now for the most part. But I think if we can see them consistently give Rattler some more time in the pocket, if it just on eye test, if it doesn't look like they're being completely mauled by Arkansas's line, which is going to be bigger, faster, stronger than Georgia State's, I mean, that alone would make me feel better if they look like they can play up to that level. And I mean, even outside of the offense, I would like to see the pass rush improve. I thought that was a weakness last year. It's still a weakness now. We had no sacks on Saturday, again, with a Georgia State offensive line that is smaller, slower, and, you know, just simply not as dominant as an SEC line is going to be. So I think those are the big 3 things to me. I want to see, you know, accuracy and good decision-making from Rattler. I want to see the offensive line just hold their own and look competitive. And I want to see the defensive line improve the pass rush.
Emily Adams covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News, making her debut here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I do want to ask you, Emily, we got a couple more minutes here. There was obviously a lot of talk about what Willie B was going to look like in night games now with the new lights and the you know, having them orchestrated to dance with the music and all that. I saw a video clip of the lights popping off during Sandstorm, and then Kirk Herbstreit sent out a tweet that's got like 500,000 responses now to some video on the field while all of that was happening. I got to tell you, at a point in time, Emily, where we're seeing more and more people say, I'd rather just stay home for the game. I'll watch on the big screen. The beer is cheaper out of my fridge. The nachos are better when I make them, etc. Willie B looked like it was going to be a freaking experience on Saturday night. And I'm kind of at the point where I hope that South Carolina kind of starts to do what LSU does and book as many games at night as they can. Did you get a chance? Were you in the stadium Saturday night? And if so, talk to me a little bit about the atmosphere. I mean, I know that a lot of it came from the lights. I also know there was a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of optimism about this program this year. Did it feel like there was a different environment in South Carolina than maybe Gamecocks fans are traditionally used to?
I think so. I mean, obviously, it was my first time in the stadium on Saturday, but obviously I've been at Neyland. I grew up, like I said, I'm from Philly, so I grew up a Penn State fan. I've been up there at Beaver Stadium. And I thought the energy was really, really great for, a game against Georgia State. I think the attendance ended up being a little over 78,000, which is considered a sellout there at Willie B. And I think, I thought the lights, especially during Sandstorm, were great. You could feel, during that entrance, you could feel the press box bounce a little bit, which was a little terrifying, but also, a testament to, the energy that crowd had and how packed that stadium was. So I honestly thought it was, for a game one against a group of 5 team, I thought it was a great turnout. I've heard that the Georgia game next weekend is also expected to be a sellout. So, and, I think there'll be a lot of Georgia fans come up for that as well. So, which, creates a little bit of a different vibe. But I think in terms of the stadium experience, again, they're heading in the right direction with everything. They're doing all the right things, and people just seem excited. It seems like they are a team that people want to watch. And again, I think if they look better against Arkansas, I think that excitement is only going to continue to rise.
Emily Adams covers the South Carolina Gamecocks athletic department for the Greenville News. She's going to be joining us hopefully regularly throughout the rest of the football season, certainly into basketball season as well. Emily, welcome to the area as the most recent newbie. I hope that you found it well. If you need anything from us, let us know, and we most certainly appreciate the time. You are fantastic to talk to, and I hope we do it again next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be back, hopefully, as regularly as I can be. I'm excited to see where we take this the rest of the season.
Listen to it. I like the hype. Emily Adams, you can find her on Twitter at EAAdams6, at EAAdams6 on social media. She is, if you're a Gamecock fan, your new must follow. Emily, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week, homie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
You got it. You know what, Lonzo? You don't often get interviews that are going to match the gas that I try to put into them. From the minute you called to get Emily on the line, it was just sheer positivity start to finish. I like her. She's going in the rotation. Good stuff.
It was sunshine except for when she agreed with you.
Well, you can be optimistic and also correct, like I am, like Emily was.
Is that what you are?
Yeah.
She is. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I am critical and correct and also optimistic at the same time. No, that was
and so very humble.
Just as humble as I am good looking. It is correct. Thank you very much, Emily Adams. Fantastic interview. We very much appreciated it. And yeah, we'll get her back on. Zoe, I think she earned the weekly rotation, right? I think she earned a weekly spot talking Gamecock football.
I think she did a really good job. I think she's awesome. I love the energy back and forth. Cannot wait to hear her again next week.
Yeah, man. And by the way, before I get the inevitable, Rob, you're a homer. Rob, you only talk Gamecocks. Rob, I want you to know.
Even if you were, it would be a good counter for other programming on the station. That's all I'm saying.
I want you to know I have reached out to multiple Clemson reporters to try to get a weekly Clemson interview on, and I cannot get calls back from them. I'm not going to name names because, look, people are busy. People have lives. I know that all you guys see is the glitz and the glamour of this prestigious job we all have. But, and this may shock you, there's a lot of work that is involved in it. It is a lot of weird, funky hours on days that you don't want to be working. I understand that people are busy. I just want you to know, I have made efforts to try to get Clemson beat reporters on to talk Tiger football with us, and I just can't get calls back. It is what it is.
I hope they say they won't come on because of me. That's what I secretly hope.
Nobody has directly told me that yet.
Yeah.
But I will say that since we moved to this time slot and since you became the executive producer of the show, I have not been able to get a consistent Clemson interview. I get one-offs every now and then, but I just have not been able to find a beat reporter who is either A, willing, or B, and they may just not like me.
Hey man, Lorenzo don't care.
Lorenzo don't play. This may shock you. There's a lot of people who don't like me. I don't know why. I am the most likable guy in this industry. But my goodness, it has been tough. So before you bang out that inevitable text of Rob only brings on Gamecock beat reporters, when I called Corey when he moved to the upstate, he was like, every week I'm in. When I talked to Emily this morning, she's like, every week I'm in.
By the way, phone lines are open, Clemson fans. Yep. If you want to be the representative, just call in.
How about you guys can call every day. We don't care. That's why the phone lines are open at 844-FAN-PHONE. 844-326-3663. Start your text with FAN. We'll read them on the air. Lonzo is now 36 minutes away from picking his punishment out of the boo box. Last chance. I got 2 slips of paper left to write punishments down on. I can take 2 more suggestions. Unless I get 2 and then somebody sends me a really good third one, in which case I'll take 3. You want to get a punishment into Lonzo's boo box before his 11 o'clock draw time? Now's your chance. Text your punishment for Lonzo in to 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and if it's good enough, we'll get it in the boo box. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the FAN Upstate.
QC.
Be right back, stream.
right. Hopefully I got time to mention this. So Sports Illustrated just posted that, let's see, where is it? All right. Punishment for the backstage fight, Sports Illustrated has learned, will include suspensions for every person involved. The list of those receiving suspensions include Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, Pat Buck, Christopher Daniels, Michael Nakazawa, and Brandon Cutler.
No, Cutler.
Yeah, multiple sources have shared that Punk and Ace Steel will either be among those suspended or will no longer be with the company by the end of Wednesday.
I saw that a minute ago.
So tonight's AEW will be worth watching because some of that young talent that doesn't get a
Your
push.
roster.
Yeah, some of that young. Yeah. Although some of those guys have been hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like Omega, but still. How they handle it will be mentioned. Will the Acclaimed be allowed to rap? Because that might be a mistake.
Yep.
Because ain't no way he's not mentioning that.
Thanks again to Emily Adams from the Greenville News for joining us. Fantastic interview. We appreciate it. We'll be getting her on hopefully weekly to talk Gamecock football. If you guys have a Clemson beat reporter, writer, blogger that you like, feel free to send it to me. I'll reach out. Like I said, I've reached out to a bunch of Clemson folks in the market and just not have gotten I just haven't gotten responses. So again, I'm not going to name names as to who I have and have not reached out to, but please know that I have reached out to multiple Clemson beat reporters and writers and have just not gotten responses back. I want to do a weekly Clemson segment, just like we did with Corey Diaz and now like we're doing with Emily. I would love to have a weekly Clemson segment where we have somebody on who's embedded with the team. Now, I will say this, and this is not a shot, because obviously we have bloggers and vloggers on too. Rashad Beard joins us on Thursdays. Not a shot at people who cover the team podcast variety, podcast form, like fans with podcast, because that's what Zoe and I are to some degree. But if I'm going to do a weekly segment, I want it with somebody who's embedded with the team. I want it with somebody, as Emily did, who can say, Shane said, because she was with Shane, right? She was in the room with Shane. I want it with somebody who's in the locker room postgame, getting quotes, who's at the games, covering them, who's down on the field at sideline level, hearing what's going on the sideline. And I want to bring on somebody that's going, if we're going to do something weekly, that's going to give you a unique run at it, right? I brought on Rashad because Rashad and Dave have a huge following with the Panther Nation podcast. But I will also tell you that we've gotten Carolina beat reporters in one-offs. I have not found a Panthers beat reporter who can do something weekly. And that's not, listen, most guys and gals in this line are not jumping in to do a weekly spot because it's a big commitment for an entire football season to say, yeah, Rob, I'll block half an hour out of my mornings in season once a week to come on and say things that I've already written, right? Might not get anywhere else. But if I'm going to do something that is weekly, you either got to have a really, really in-depth perspective. I will tell you that for instance, while Rashad Beard's not embedded with the Panthers, I do not know anybody who knows the roster better, who reads more, who is more tuned in as an outsider than Rashad. And that's a compliment, right? I don't. That's why we like having Rashad on Thursdays. But if it's going to be somebody, I want somebody who covers the team. I have looked and just have not been able to find anybody from Clemson who has been willing to do an every week spot with me. They'll do a one-off. Yeah, I'll come on next Thursday, but I can't sign up for every Thursday. And I get it. It makes sense. So if you know anybody, if you've got anybody that you read who's with the team, send them my way. I'll be happy to get them on. I will tell you that probably not this week, but next week, Don Munson, the voice of the Tigers, is going to come on the air. We'll talk football with him. Don's been great. Don's like, when you need me, you call me, I'll get you on, or I'll get on with you. But if I can get somebody who covers his team, who is embedded with the team, that's a weekly spot. I just have not been able to find anybody who is in that group yet. Who is in that group yet? So anyway, 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Short segment. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute.
Good, because that's just way too much Clemson for me. I mean, that was just way too much trying to appease a certain fan base, you know, and I don't think they need it. They get their
they get theirs already?
They get their biscuits buttered all the time. Let's go with that.
You know, that really burns my brownies. All right, let's take a break.
Wow, I haven't heard that one before.
Let's when we come back here in just a minute from right now, I know it's college football season, and there's a lot of college football to continue to talk about. But, ladies and gentlemen, your Atlanta Braves are now tied for the lead in the NL East, and there is breaking news on the injury front for the New York Mets. That's a big bump for the ATL's chances to win that division and potentially get the first round bye in the playoffs. I'll tell you what all of that is when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Grab Extreme, don't go anywhere. I appreciate some of you guys. Like some of these suggestions you guys have given me as far as beat reporters to get on have already either outright told me no or just not responded to me. And Lonzo brought up a good theory, which is, some of them are already do spots on the other station, and so they don't want to do one with ours, which and for the record, I absolutely do not hold that against them, right? Like I understand where that would come from. I get it. I'm sure that there are commitments to other hosts, loyalty to other hosts, etc. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, I just want somebody. I just haven't found anybody who said yes yet. That's really all it comes down to.
Yes, it is. How'd you know, Roger?
I don't mean to alarm you, Atlanta Braves fans, but your team woke up this morning tied with the New York Mets in the National League East. The NL East has a pair of teams sitting at 85 and 51. The Bravos, after a 10-9 gutout win on the road against Oakland last night. And by the way, I suspect the Braves will put away Oakland with a little bit more ease tonight, as they had a couple of guys on the bump last night that just couldn't find it. Kyle Wright, who has been exceptional, just didn't have his stuff working last night. It happens. It happens. Last night, let's see. Kyle Wright went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 8 runs. All of them earned 3 walks, 4 Ks. You went to Lee Chavez, Iglesias, Minter, and Jansen. And finally, Kenley Jansen looked good in the closer role. He had struggled just a little bit. But you ended up chasing at 4.2 innings pitch, 9 hits, 9 earned runs, 4 walks, and a dinger in that one. You also got to Pams Pruitt and Snead for at least a hit apiece as well. The Braves woke up this morning after a 10-9 win with a tie for the National League East. And that's good news. Mainly because I had been telling, and I sent this out on Twitter a few minutes ago, I had been telling Cody Decker and Hayden S. Mario on the aforementioned and no longer existent Bet for the Cycle radio program that there was no chance that the Braves were going to catch the Mets. By the way, back-to-back seasons where Lonzo has told me that I was wrong about the Braves and he turned out to be right. Back-to-back. Last year, after the busted play against the Phillies, I was like, Bravo's in trouble. And Zoe was like, dude, you got to relax. We're 30 games into a 161-game season. And I panicked. The Braves ended up winning it and going to win the World Series. This year, the Braves were, 12 games back of the Mets. And I was like, they are not catching New York.
And the
so
worst,
it's like, you got 90 games left, bro.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is we just saw it happen last year. So they've shown that they were capable of doing it. Have a little confidence in your team. I'm just saying.
Let me tell you where it's coming from. Let me tell you where this is coming from so far. If you go look at pitching leaders in terms of strikeouts in the National League, you're going to see a lot of Braves up there, right? Charlie Morton has 175. Spencer Strider has 175. Kyle Wright has 154. Max Fried has 149. Of the top 12 strikeout pitchers in Major League Baseball, 25% of them are Atlanta Braves. The Braves can hit the ball. We know the Braves can hit the baseball. The Braves have probably the third most potent lineup in baseball when they're not being streaky. And they have been streaky in spots, right? They've been streaky in spots. But it has been the Braves off the bump that have been good. It has been the Braves off the hill that have carried the offense when the offense has gone on cold streaks. And it has gone on cold streaks. We've seen that. But it has been the combination of Charlie Morton as a starter. 26 games pitched. He is 7-5 with 146 innings of service. He's given up 121 hits, but he's K'd 175. That is fourth best in Major League Baseball. 1K behind him. How about 9-4 Spencer Strider through 28, who probably deserves a better record than that? A guy that is absolutely, as of now, your NL Rookie of the Year with his 174. And by the way, through 114 innings served, of the top 12 pitchers that I just mentioned, of the top 12 which, by the way, includes Carlos Rodon, who has thrown over 100 Ks for the Giants and has been exceptional. Aaron Nola, who has been great for Philly. Corbin Burns, who will give up a lot of hits. Sandy Alcantara is going to win the Cy Young for Miami, right? Of the top 12 pitchers that I have mentioned to you so far in the National League, 2 of them have given up single-digit home run totals. You know who they are? Spencer Strider and Max Fried. That's it. That's it. That's the whole list. There are only 2 pitchers in that top 12 that are still in double digits hits surrendered. Spencer Strider is one, and the other one, Max Scherzer. But here's where things get kind of interesting. It was reported earlier this morning, actually not even this morning, Lonzo. In fact, recently enough that I think you could break the glass out on this because I do think it's breaking news in my ever so humble opinion. There it is. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, and beat the books with BetQL. Max Scherzer's going on the IL. Max Scherzer is complaining of body aches. He is going to the IL. I do not have details as to how long that IL is. But Showalter said he expects him to miss 2 starts. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll miss 2 starts likely. But that's a big 2 starts for a team that is tied in the National League East, for a team that has surrendered a 1-dozen-game lead in the NL East and done so against a team. Look, we talk pitching in the NL East. It's been all about Scherzer. It's been all about DeGrom. It's been all about Sandy Alcantara. And that's all fine. Those guys are outstanding pitchers. Scherzer is inside the top 10 in strikeouts right now. But also inside of the top 12 in strikeouts are 4 of the 5 starting pitchers for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, what else can you ask for? What else can you ask for? What else are you looking for? How good has this team been? This team has been so good that despite winning 3 consecutive games against the Diamondbacks, the Mets, and the Marlins back in early August, Ian Anderson got sent back down to the minors multiple times. because he's just not good enough to cut it right now. Jake Odorizzi has come in. He's pitched relatively well. Kyle Wright has been an ace. Max Fried is the most underappreciated pitcher in baseball. Hell, Charlie Morton, who I was ready to push the eject button on about a half through the season, Charlie Morton has been good lately. Jesse Chavez, remember, came in last year to Atlanta. Went through and had some hero ball moments in the playoffs in the World Series for Atlanta. Helped them win the ring last year. Jesse Chavez got sent out. He went to, where? The Angels, I believe. Now he's back. And pitching well. In fact, the last two starts that he had, the last two saves he had with LA, both wins over a really good Blue Jays team. But the numbers weren't there. They ejected him. He comes back to Atlanta. He's pitched exceptionally well. The Braves offense? The Braves offense is good. But the Braves off of the bump have been freaking exceptional. And what is the key to winning in the playoffs? What is the key to winning a World Series? Great pitching, not great hitting. Great hitting helps, but great pitching. And a full quarter of the best dozen pitchers in Major League Baseball right now are all Braves when it comes to the K rate. That's pretty damn impressive, if we're being honest. Let's take a break. We're coming back. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate.
According to Dave Meltzer, it's not a work. This will be obvious very soon.
I don't think it was. I think it was a fight.
If he says this will be obvious very soon, do you think CM Punk is actually gone? Because everything I'm seeing doesn't mean it's accurate. Is he's the one? Well, first of all, he started by what he said, but supposedly he started the fight also.
I don't know that he is gone. I could absolutely see Tony Khan telling him, you have to eat a suspension with everybody else. And Punk goes, I'm not doing that.
Well, unless something major happens tonight, tomorrow on Fight Club, we definitely will ask the question, if somebody has to go, would you rather the EVPs be gone or CM Punk?
It's got to be Punk.
Those guys started that thing. Those guys in Jericho they helped get that thing off the ground.
Oh yeah. You absolutely cannot. If you're TK, you have hit the point. I get it. It's one reason that I hated when I had to make personnel decisions.
Cody would have probably beat him. Cody'd probably be in jail if he was still there.
Cody would have killed him.
Yeah.
I would have a problem being in Tony Khan's spot because he's hit the point where he can't be friends with. Like, I think he started this as friend of all these guys. Like, I'll bankroll you guys, and he has to be a boss now. Like, he has to be a boss and look Punk in his face and be like, yo, you got to go, dude.
I've heard from people in the building who have said the worst person they ever interviewed was CM Punk because he was exactly as advertised.
I have gotten back to the kind of the point where I'm like, I've kind of gotten back to the point where I'm like, I think all of the, not rumors about Punk, but statements about Punk, I believe them now. Like, he's just...
I don't know, James. I don't know that he's the biggest draw. I don't know if they have one star. Do they? I don't know. And even if he were, and they got rid of him, that's making a definite statement to everybody else there. And no, Josh, I'm not. I'm not ready. I'm legitimately nervous. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm hoping that if and when Rob also loses, that he suffers from these nerves, but Rob doesn't get nervous, so I know the things that I like the least, and I'm not saying what they are. But if you approach a punishment like, it ain't no big deal, then it's not. Again, I will neither confirm or deny, Stephen, that that is the case.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Wrapping up the show. My name is Rob Brown. The great Lonzo sits anxiously directly across from me because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It is time. Week number 1 of our Boo Box Bets segment. And Lonzo finished behind Rob by a single game. Rob went 6-4 in an all college picks weekend. Lonzo had a good week, went 50% 5-5, but came up just a bit outside. So, Lonzo, it is time to reach into the boo box and draw a punishment. Now, before we do that, I have to ask the question because, y'all, even off the air, even when we were off the stream, when Lonzo had nobody except me to talk to, he let me know repeatedly, not super thrilled about this. Not super thrilled about this. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Remember on Friday, we will give our next round of picks. And this week, we will have 5 college games and 5 NFL games that we pick against the spread. We have seen some big spreads like Georgia being -17. Same with Ohio State. Clemson being -23.5 in the Vegas spreads. So we'll have some big spreads. We'll have some little spreads. We'll have some college spreads, some pro spreads. Rob goes 6-4. Zoe goes 5-5. Zoe, before we reach into the boo box and find out what the punishment will be, is there one that you are most definitely hoping you do not get?
Oh, absolutely, but I'm not telling you what it is.
I mean, they're in. I can't change
No.
it.
I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let anyone know the one that I dread the most, unless I pick it.
I do like on the side of the box they have directions for how to dance like Biggie.
Yeah,
That's pretty fun.
It's pretty old, so that's why I don't want the box torn up. It's been in the office for a while. It came with a T-shirt, so I mean, you know.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Did you put the thing in?
I did.
Let's just Let's just do that.
I don't have it ready though.
Oh.
I mean, I don't have it. Just give me it's.
Take your time.
I mean, I see it.
This segment doesn't hurt me at all.
I see it. I just don't want to put it in there.
The only reason this segment hurts me is that when I inevitably take L number 1, the longer this draws out, the more I have to draw it out when I lose too.
All right, so let's say I lose 6 weeks in a row. Can we just
Scrap it?
Just kill it? I mean, is that
what's a line, ladies and gentlemen? What's a line where if one of us takes a blank
What do you mean one of us?
streak,
You haven't lost yet, so.
Why no? What did you say about South Carolina? It's been 1 week, Lonzo.
Yeah, I don't think my voice sounded like that.
And
but-
keep in mind, you said that now post our football gambling for dummies segment last week, now you think you've got a hang of it.
Oh,
Or at
no,
least
no.
understand it better.
No, I understand it. That's not going to make me pick better. I mean, just because I know how something works doesn't mean I can make it work for me.
True, but now you've also got eyes on football programs, right? Last week, to some degree, really all we could pick off of.
There was some
season
guessing
previews.
involved
Yeah.
because yeah, for
We
sure.
were basically, or at least I was basically last week, I was looking at season previews from as unbiased sources as I could find and rewatching game film from last year from guys coming back and trying to come up with likely outcomes. But there was a little gut go too, right? Like, I had to gut go that Notre Dame was not going to be as bad as a lot of people thought they were going to be.
It's a shame that it came down to my team, and my team is
It
the
really
reason
did.
why. And I had some legitimate anger towards Ryan Day for a little bit. Then he was on a morning show this morning, and he owned Keyshawn Johnson. And after he owned him, because Keyshawn said that when anyone from Ohio flies to California, they've now shut down the airports and won't allow those airplanes because they keep taking stars out of California. Then Ryan Day said, "Oh, it's okay. Thanks to NIL, we have direct flights from high schools to the campus." So I can't be angry with Ryan after that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's your team. That's the reason why.
That's rough.
Yeah, it is.
It came down. So Lonzo got me in the Illinois-Indiana game and had great reasoning too. And he got me on that game. I got Lonzo back. We picked.
No one
10
wants to hear what
games.
you have to say, Josh.
We picked 10 games, and I think of the 10, Zoe, I think you and I only picked different in 3 of them, right? I think we only picked different in 3 games. We picked different in Illinois, Indiana to open. We picked different in Georgia, Oregon, which I picked Georgia to cover, and boy, howdy, they covered, 3 times? And then it came down to Saturday night, Notre Dame v. Ohio State. And at that point, we were guaranteed to have a loser. And it was whether Notre Dame covered up 17 or stayed inside of 17 or Ohio State covered it up. Notre Dame stayed within. 1 game difference is all that the difference is. So, if you have not been following the show, Boo Box bets works this way. We picked 10 against the spread on Friday. We check back in on Monday. Whoever got the better record, unless we pick the Monday Night Football game, and then we check in on Tuesday. Whoever had the worst record of the weekend has to reach into the box of their choice filled with slips of paper on which are written multiple punishments. And there are some punishments that are an eating things challenge. There are humiliation punishments. There are fashion punishments. And whatever is drawn out of the box, you have until the next Boo Box Bets punishment to complete that draw, which means that unless the Monday Night Football game is in our picks, and I don't put the list of Boo Box Bets picks together until Friday morning because I want the spreads to level out some, right?
And so I can't see what they are to actually do some
But
research.
I'll tell you what they are on Friday morning.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what they're going to be until Friday morning.
We
what
are
they
on
are.
the air on Friday morning. So, I mean, it's not like,
Oh, Steven just said.
Oh, it's a good one.
That is a really good one.
Yes.
That's a really good one. I hate haunted houses. I hate jump scares. I hate them. And Steven said, Rob has to go to Mad World. That's a great one.
As far as jump scares goes with haunted houses and those type things, Mad World's at the top of the list. I've been to a ton of them, and Rob would be very angry within like the first minute.
Jump scares.
He gets angry when he gets jump scared.
Hate that. It's 100% a fact. Lonzo doesn't do it on purpose, but he does do it. And you can see the anger on my face when I hate getting jump scared. I hate it. That's a really good one, Steven. I like that. That's a good one. That'll go in mine. So, without further ado, Lonzo, it is time to shake up the box of Bootios. These bets need to be graded on an age scale. Zoe's an old guy. Maybe he can drink a bottle of Geritol.
Let me consult AARP and see if that's okay first.
Lonzo, let's run the bumper and let's do this thing. What do you say?
I already forgot about that.
Let's run the bumper and do this thing.
Yes, you made a boo-boo.
I did.
The boo box.
Holy crap.
This is screwed up.
The loser will be taunted and booed until my throat is sore.
Yeah, I'll bet on it.
Wrong. Try again. Loser.
Uh-oh, someone's in trouble.
I freaking love it.
You know, even though it's on me, I thought this would add to it, and it's adding to the dread.
It is.
It absolutely is adding to the dread.
I freaking love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, inside.
I did this to me.
You really did. I love it, though. It's a great sound. Inside of the box of New Day Bootios, which I currently hold.
Good call, Keegan. I'll try to add that.
What's in the box? Inside of this box are multiple slips of paper on which are written a variety.
You know,
of
I just want to say, because we're stretching this out because I don't want to pick, that Rob could have written the same thing on every slip of paper.
Did not.
No, you don't need to.
I can show him.
No.
You know what's in here.
It's fine. I'm just saying, you know, for clarification that could be done.
You saw me writing and adding them during the show.
I couldn't see what you were writing.
You have it on my word. They are all different punishments. There are no multiples.
Okay.
There are no duplicates.
Okay.
They are every slip is a different punishment. I will also tell you, Josh, the best bumper I've heard in a minute. It was. That's really good. That's really good work from Lonzo.
By the way, I am an award-winning producer.
It's true.
I just want to point that out.
That's true. So,
who's about to pick a punishment?
correct.
Let's just do this. Can we?
Correct.
Can we just do this?
I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that for the duration of the season, I am in control of Lonzo's boo box. Lonzo will be in control of mine. He has not been able to touch the box, reach inside the box, alter the punishments. He is drawing completely blind.
By the way, I have another cereal box in there, and I think it has Freddy Krueger on it, so we might use that for that. That box is empty also.
I'm not mad about that.
All right, I want to do my own shaking.
Yeah, shake it up. Have
I'm going
that.
to do my own shaking.
Lonzo's going to reshake the box of Bootios. There are, again, I think there's 9 or 10 punishments inside of the box.
No, I don't know if you can win a hat if we pick one of your punishments. 'Cause
We didn't attribute the punishments to individual listeners.
We did not.
We just wrote them down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Lonzo's hand is in the boo box. The selection is currently being drawn. For your sake, I hope you get an easy one out the gate, like one of the wear a T-shirt of a team you hate ones. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the selection has been made. Lonzo, please read the punishment that you will be undertaking on the show either later this week or on Monday.
there's just a bunch of words. It's not. Oh, there's something written on the other side.
The selection is in. Ding, ding, a ding, ding.
Are you kidding me?
Which one is it? Which one is it?
Wear a Clemson shirt and hat all day on air and at work.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Lonzo, either tomorrow, Friday, or next Monday.
I want to point out, as horrible as this would be, this is not the one I feared the most.
Is it not? Okay.
No.
All right. Lonzo.
But once the punishment is done, though, it's out
of the box.
Okay.
It's out of the box. So that one will stay on the desk until it is completed, at which case it will be crumbled and tossed. No bets will be duplicated throughout the season. Lonzo, either tomorrow, Friday, or Monday, will appear on the stream and all day at work in a Clemson shirt and hat. It is of his choice.
It's not a much. I'm not
But
going
it
out.
has-
I'm not going out and buying one. I'm just not doing that.
It's got to be orange.
That's fine. I will straight up wear. I lost the bet, but I'll send an email out later on to the building and ask.
Anybody got that extra Clemson shirt and hat we can borrow for a
Doesn't
day?
have to be extra. It will be soiled when I give it back to you.
Lonzo's not going to shower for 2 days before he does.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. That's not no.
So there you have it. Bet number one.
I'm trying to think who in the building would have one that would fit me.
We'll find out.
I do happen to know one person who is a big Clemson fan on another station who, if I wore their stuff, it would look huge on me probably. So
For the record, I will go so far as to say, Zoe, that I will be willing to head to the local value store and purchase this for you so that you don't have to spend your money on Clemson gear. I will be happy to make the purchase to acquire the gear in question, but Boo Bet Box punishment or Boo Box Bet punishment number one, either tomorrow, Friday, or Monday, and we will make the decision. It'll probably be Friday or Monday.
it's a shirt and a hat.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see if someone in the building is willing to let me borrow because I don't want to have any of us go out and buy stuff for this. I mean, unless it's mayonnaise or syrup. I mean, this is a big purchase, a shirt and a hat. So
either tomorrow, Friday, or Monday, and I will give
those are
you,
good spots, James. I don't know what you're talking
I'm
about.
a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I will give you guys on social media a heads up the night before and the morning of this so that you may all tune into the stream, which is available at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or on either one of Lonzo or I's Twitter feed and on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show. Sometime tomorrow, Friday, or Monday, Lonzo will wear a Clemson shirt and hat for the extent of his work day, including all 3 hours on the stream.
So, if I chose to go home early, that's my entire work
Have
day.
some integrity, Lonzo.
I do. There are days when I leave a little bit earlier than others, And let's face it, well, anyway, it's punishment. I will take the punishment.
You, as long as you leave after me, then I'll consider that a full work day.
Okay. I'm not trying to shirk it. I'm not.
I like
but you don't even know exactly what time I leave. So
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
me, because at that point, I don't know anymore. I am usually in the building 7:15 or so.
Well, this week I'm a little bit behind because we were off Monday.
Sure.
So,
Little extra work to be done.
Yeah.
Little extra work to be done. So either on tomorrow, Friday, or Monday, Lonzo will appear on the stream in full Clemson regalia.
All right. So this is that relief phase after you get the punishment, but the dread is still there. I want you to know the dread is still there because I still have to fulfill
Yep.
my part of the bargain.
I would argue there were worse punishment. There are worse punishments.
There
in
are worse punishments.
There
Yes,
are worse
there
punishments
are.
in there. There is also still in the box a Michigan shirt for a day, a Tom Brady shirt for a day, are the other two wearing fashion punishments.
By the way, I'm not opposed to a possible fan of the show bringing me in the gear, but
Yeah.
I would rather try, which I will do when we're off the air, to see if anybody in the building has it. That way it wouldn't require. But, if we have to go to that, then if you were to bring me something, I'd make sure that you got to take a picture of me wearing it with you. I mean, there's that.
I love it. I love it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Boo Box Bet punishment number one doled out to the great one. He will have to wear to work and home from work, including the entire on-the-air stream.
Wait. That's not what that says. It doesn't say. It says all day on air and work.
Yeah.
It doesn't say to
Oh,
work.
so you're going to bring
or
it
what.
and change into it once you get here?
I'm
I
not-
respect that.
As far as the shirt goes, that's not touching my skin. Okay, there will be something under it, and the hat, it may be the same case. I may have to go with the bandana or something
I
under it,
respect it.
so it's not so the orange isn't touching my skin. But Yeah, I don't. I mean, I probably won't if I'm itching while wearing the shirt, which I guarantee I will be because it's Clemson. I'm not going to scratch.
I respect it. I respect it. So there you go, folks. Punishment number 1 doled out to the great one, Lonzo. A full Clemson shirt and hat to be worn at work all day, start to finish, including on the stream. Text says this is a punishment to the Clemson shirt and hat. They don't want to they don't want to have Lonzo's bad juju on them.
Oh, and I will be thinking bad thoughts the entire time.
I was gonna say that. See what you got away with, if you were going to wear them from home to work and from work back home, would be like stopping at every gas station, getting out and just acting like a Class A Delta Bravo very publicly.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be noticed. I mean, because that's normal everyday stuff for a Clemson fan. So, I mean, people just would ignore it.
James said, what about having to put your rival's logo on your car?
I already did that. I did that. I think there are promos about it. There were on my other show on Word, and talked about it before. Had magnets. We had a deal. The guy I was doing a show with was also a salesperson, Matt Tomlinson, and he got a deal with a local place that had a bunch of magnets. So I had Clemson magnets all over my car. And it was not a small car, and my daughter didn't want to get in the car, and the principal of the school was laughing her butt off as she escorted my daughter and basically told her she had to get in the car because she was so embarrassed. Yes. It doesn't help when listeners actually know who you are and at the school. So I've done that before. I'm not saying I want to do it again, but it's also all those logos and things, they cost money. They do. And it's not trying to get out of it. It's just, it's money.
It depends on it. Like, I don't mind.
Because this would be a one-time purchase. If I had to go out and buy that, I'm not going to wear it again. It's almost like having to buy khakis for a picture or something. Who wants to do that?
I get it. All right, there you go. You'll get Lonzo in full Clemson regalia at some point in the very near future. Let's take a break. When we come back, a day late version of look, it's just a great 11 o'clock hour for the great one. A late edition of Faces or Heels since we missed it yesterday. Then Twitter Trending Topics wraps it up. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate
Warehouse. Always with me, it's Clemson. I suppose I deserve it in some people's eyes. But I don't think there's anything as equal to go in Rob's box as far as having to wear something. I don't think there's, or he hasn't disclosed anything with the kind of distaste that I have. So might have to do some sleuthing, or, perhaps a family member is listening right now, one of his family members, and can give me something. I'd be okay with that. Inside knowledge is awesome. Thought I was done with this stuff, a decade ago, and here it is, rearing its ugly head again. 'Cause radio. I will make sure that I publicly apologize to my family when it happens.
I went to.
How do you do that, Steven? I mean, you wear expensive clothes? I mean, how do you do that?
Tie hang down to your knees.
It's power
The
tie.
man wears nice suits, but his tie is entirely too long. You have to acknowledge that. That's just objective.
By the way, I could care less about all that, but his tie probably costs more than my car. So, I mean, there's that too. And you know what? If I had that kind of money, my tie would cost more than your car. So if I did have to go buy Clemson stuff on my own, where is the cheapest possible place I could do that at?
100%
No, there's
Walmart.
got to be cheaper than Walmart. I wonder if Dollar Store has anything.
You know where you can get You know where you can get lucky sometimes is Ross, because they'll be on clearance, like old stuff. Question is, would you buy a $10 Deshaun Watson jersey or T-shirt?
You know what the cool part about this though is I don't have to wear Clemson gear the rest of the year.
Correct. All right, it is time for Lonzo's favorite segment of the week, an abbreviated and late version, but we got to get it in. It's Faces and Heels, where we take a look at some socially ambiguous situations and try to figure out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's the face, who's the heel. Let's get this bad boy kicked off. All right. Guy is 49 years, woman is 49 years old. He has got a 51-year-old wife. Now, the wife has 2 kids from a relatively previous relationship. Her kids are 13 and 5. 13 and 5, so 8 years of difference. Says, I get along great with her boys. They're awesome, smart, creative, funny kids. They can also be jerks, but hey, that's normal. Who wasn't at 13, right? Well, they went on a vacation, the 4 of them did. And it was for the woman's, it was a work trip, right? That they turned into a vacation as well. Well, she had to go to work and left him to watch the 2 boys. He took them down to the hotel pool, right? Took them down to the hotel pool, and they were all hanging out at the hotel pool while she was at work. He said that he had to go to the bathroom. So we told the 13-year-old and the 5-year-old, get out of the pool, sit in these chairs, don't get up until I come back. Then you can get back in the pool. I just got to pee. I'll be right back. Went to the bathroom, came back. The 13 and the 5-year-old had gotten into the pool, and the hotel security came and got them because no one under the age of 6 is allowed to be unsupervised in the pool. So security pulled them out of the pool and basically sat with these kids for the handful of minutes that he was in the bathroom. Well, the younger one complained to the mom that they were embarrassed that they had just a hotel security dude basically chaperoning them while this guy was in the bathroom. The mom is mad and was like, it's irresponsible. You shouldn't have left them at the pool by yourself. You should have either made them come with you or hold it. The pops is like, hey, I didn't want to bring 2 kids into the bathroom while I did my business. And in fairness, I told them, don't listen to the pool. Don't get in the pool. You should be mad at them for not listening to my instructions. The mom said, boys are going to be boys. You should have known better. This is on you. He says she's not talking to me now, and this vacation has gone awry because we're in this fight. Is he, Lonzo, the face or the heel?
All right. I want to say the mom's the heel because a valuable lesson was learned to those kids when they had to deal with security sitting with them, because that will scare you to death, especially as a child. But as a father, he's the heel for leaving the kid that young by the pool without parent supervision. Should have took it. Could leave the 13-year-old, take the 6-year-old with you. So that makes him the heel for me.
No, absolutely she's the heel because she has, even at 5, raised a kid who is going to pull the "you're not my real dad, I don't have to listen to you" shtick on this guy who is doing the best he can to be a father figure to them, right? If you are going to, I've gotten to the point in my life, and this is not a shot, though some people take it offensively for some reason. I will, if the lady friend and I weren't to work out, which we will, but if we weren't, I will never again date a woman with a kid, right? Because I'm never going to, I'm never going to be number 1 in her life. I will always be number 2. And B, you're never going to get handed like the full authority of if it was your kid, right? You have raised a couple of kids that are viewing this man that you are supposedly in a long-term relationship with as an optional authority figure. I can listen to you if you don't. And I only know that because she's mad at him and, according to him, has not talked to the kids about listening and respecting the commands of this guy. If you are not going to tell these kids, when I'm not around, he's in control, he's the authority, and you listen to him or I'm coming after your behinds, you're the heel. The mom's the heel in this situation without a doubt. What else was here? I don't want a 13-year-old boy following me into the bathroom either.
By the way, I disagree with one of the things that you're saying. As someone who had a couple of stepfathers, it never had to be told to me that he's in charge. Whatever he said, he was the boss.
Right.
I would never pull the "you're not my dad" stuff.
That's awesome.
You know why? Because I didn't know my dad. So any guy in my life was my dad. So I did what he was said.
I get that.
And you never leave a kid that young by a pool with a 13-year-old. That's just ridiculous.
Listen, I'm not saying it's a smart move to leave a 5-year-old as a kid by the pool. I'm not saying.
All right,
that's the
I'm
right
being
idea.
extra sensitive because I have to wear Clemson gear.
Lonzo's salty. Lonzo's salty. She's absolutely
Lorenzo
heel.
has entered the building.
All right, here's another one. 28-year-old woman. Her 19-year-old cousin just gave birth to a baby boy. The baby is 6 months old. She says for 2 months, she's been dumping the baby at my mom's house because she has to work. She's obviously got to pay for the kid. Well, she said next week, I'm supposed to go on a 5-day trip to a city where I am starting university to hang out with my friends, to get acquainted with the city where I'm about to go to school, etc. Well, my mom, my mom has been watching the kid while my cousin goes to work. Well, my mom can't watch the kid next week. and is now telling me that I can either cancel my trip to the town where I'm about to go to college, or effectively is going to cut off whatever financial assistance she was willing to offer for me to go to school. She said, I do not feel that I should have to cancel my getting to know you, getting to know all about you trip to this place where I'm about to go live a few years of my life going to college, even if I am 28 and not 18. I don't feel like I should have to cut this trip off, this orientation trip to school, in order to watch my cousin's baby because my mom volunteered her time and now she's voluntolding me that I should have to watch mine. I'm not going to do it. And the mom's like, well, if you don't do this, it's going to be a real blight on our relationship moving forward. Who's the face? Who's the heel? You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
All right. So she's 28.
She's 28.
She's 28.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, the mom's the heel, but you're 28. What do you care if your mom cuts you off? Are you living at home? Are you living off? Because it sounds like if you're worried about being cut off, and why is your mom helping you out when you're 28? I'm just saying.
I'm gonna tell
did you not have a job for the last 7-8 years?
I'm going to tell you, as somebody who was still going to college and finishing up at 26, going to 27.
Yeah, but she makes it sound like she's going to school for the first time, which is awesome. It's awesome, but still.
I'm going to tell you this. College is one of the most rapidly rising expenses in America right now. It is going up faster than the cost of inflation for everything else. I got no problem with a kid at 28 who wants to go to school and better themselves as a person, catching some help from mom and pops if they are there and willing to offer it. I got no issue with that. That is not a heel move. That's just fine. It's hard. It is harder to be a 28-year-old now. It is more expensive to be a 28-year-old now than it has ever been in human history ever. It's more expensive. Not harder, more expensive.
I was going to say, when I was 28, I was struggling a good bit. So.
Sure. We all were. But if you want to go to college now, it is drastically more expensive than it ever has been before. To the point that for some people, it's just not worth it, right? But you're also at a point where even the most elementary entry-level jobs are starting to require a college degree to prove that you're competent enough to do them. Mom, you took on this task. It was your decision to play built-in babysitter, not hers. And if nobody's available, it's on the mom to find a way out. Not you to make your daughter do it. It's on the cousin to find a way out. The mom is a mega heel in this situation.
I just want to point out we agree on that. The mom is the heel. I said that from the beginning. I just, I have some concerns.
All right, one left. Then we'll get out.
Are you sure? Because, we could go to break now.
No, we'll do one more. Let's do this one. Texas says, Liberob thinks someone else should pay for someone else's college. I'm shocked. All right. 25-year-old man dating a 23-year-old woman. They've been together about a year now. Said when she turned 21, her parents gave it a car, and she decided to name the car Angie. So the 23-year-old young lady calls her car Angie. Guy says throughout a relationship, she's always talked about her car as if she's talking about another person. When she got a flat tire on the highway a few months back, she called me and said that Angie's shoe broke and she has to get a new one. When she goes to the car wash, she describes it as giving Angie a bath, end quote. Said, I always thought it was odd, but wasn't like a big deal about it. He said, until last weekend, me and my friends went out drinking, and my girlfriend offered to be the designated driver. We were out for a couple of hours, and I admittedly had a couple. When my girlfriend came to pick us up, she said she's stopping at the gas station, quote, to get Angie something to drink, end quote. Said it was on speakerphone. All my friends were looking at me. I told her I think it's weird and embarrassing of her to talk about a car like that. It's a machine, not a kid. She should treat it like a normal person. Welp, she still came to pick us up, But she was quiet, did not say anything the rest of the drive, dropped off my friends, dropped me off at my apartment. I asked why we weren't going back to hers, and she said, I need some time to think. Please get out of my car. Since then, she's been radio silent, and I'm starting to think I may have done something wrong. Is he the face, or is he the heel for telling her that talking about Angie as if it's a person is kind of weird?
He's the heel, and here's the reason why. He thought it was okay until his friends heard about it. He never said anything about it before then. He only waited till it became embarrassing to him to make a big deal out of it, so that's why he's the heel.
I agree with you 100%. If he has this conversation with her before the friends are involved and he's embarrassed, I got no issue with it, right? I got no issue with it. I know full-grown adults who still use baby talk. And I'm like, you got to stop, dude. You got to stop, right? And you've only got to stop.
When you said dude, did you mean like it was a dude?
Well,
or you
dude's a gender-inclusive term. Dude is woke.
No, I agree with you. I think you can call anyone dude. I wanted some clarification.
Lady, man,
I was trying to narrow things down.
trans, I don't care. If you were an adult using baby talk to anything that's not an actual baby or a puppy, you're doing it wrong, right? You're doing it wrong. If you are doing that, you don't have to like it, right? For instance, we say all the time what? I don't care if people judge me. When Lonzo and I stream from our office, the Fortress of Nerditude, that is covered head to top in video game stuff and sports stuff and stuff that I can't hang in my house because my girlfriend's like, be an adult.
And come to the dark side, we have cookies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't care. Oh, that's not very professional. I don't care. But you also have to understand, if the boss calls me into a meeting with the sales staff to meet with them about getting stuff done, I don't roll up in there in a Super Nintendo t-shirt, right? I'm putting on a collared shirt and
unless it's for a video game store, which I think would be perfectly acceptable. But yeah.
But if they call me in to have a getting to know you meeting with a sales staff where we're trying to get business done, I'm not rolling up in there in my Bowser t-shirt or a hoodie. I'm rolling in there with a shirt with a sleeve and a watch and dress shoes like a grown-up.
Believe it or not, and it has nothing to do with being grown up.
Lonzo
I think it has
khakis.
to. I do not. No, actually, I still have those.
There it
I will
is.
never wear them again. I will dress up where it's warranted. But luckily, we work in a place where it's not necessary. We're wearing the uniform right now.
Correct.
Rob has a shirt with cassette tapes on it.
Correct. I got no problem with telling somebody, hey.
Do you have a problem with someone calling their car a name?
No.
Because it's no different. Well, I guess it's a little bit different than, calling your animal your kid. Yeah. I mean, it's,
My motorcycle has a name. All of my guitars have names. Funny enough, my Jeep, my everyday car, does not have a name.
Guitarists do that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone. I got 7 guitars. Every one of them has a name.
We had
my
one
bike has a name.
Yeah, we had one guitarist. He would tell his son, "Go get me."
Yeah.
That particular name, and they would know which one that he wanted. So.
I identify my guitars by name. If we're on stage and I got to switch guitars between songs and I need my singer to change guitars for me, I'm like, grab, Helen. Helen's my pretty guitar. Named after Helen of Troy, right? Like, grab Helen or grab Aretha. Aretha's my guitar when I play my solos because she's got soul, right? Like, they all have names. I got no issue with that. But there's a difference between that on a stage with the boys to identify something and in a professional environment using baby talk or being weird about it. Because you're going to get judged. You shouldn't, but you're gonna. And it's going to hurt your chances of success. It's fine to tell somebody, you got to stop. You're making yourself sound like an infant. You got to stop. I got no issue with it. The only problem, Lonzo's right, the only problem is that he did not do it until it impacted him and he was embarrassed. If he tells her weeks before that, no problem at all. Let's take a break. Come back here in just a minute. Say our goodbyes with a little Twitter trending topics on the way out the door. The Rob Brown Show's live on the Fan Upstate.
Wow, you just talked about some schools that I didn't even know existed. Way to research the area, dude. Where the heck is NC Central? I guess it's in North Carolina and probably in central North Carolina. I don't know. Like in the middle of the state or something? No, Seattle should not cheer him on. He left. He left. He decided you weren't good enough. He was going to go somewhere else. Why should you cheer him?
I actually agree with that too.
It's different when you get traded. I mean, because that's not your choice. At least when I have to wear the stinking Clemson gear, I don't have someone across from me who's a Clemson fan continually telling me how good I look for an entire show.
Hey, Zoe, can we get a Go Tigers?
That was not on the punishment. Unless you find a way to get Matt Tomlinson in here sitting across from me just to smile at me the entire thing, you know, which made it so much worse. Thank goodness we had no stream back then.
BB King had Lucille. That is right. I saw BB King a number of years ago. Can't stand, but plays that axe like it is a machine. Let's see. George Harrison played a guitar named Lucy. Eric Clapton had a guitar named Blackie. Let's see. Who else in it? Billy Gibbon had Muddywood. Yingwei Malmsteen plays one he calls the Duck.
Yes,
Kurt Cobain had a Fender Jaguar he just called Jag. James Hetfield named his guitar Carl.
That's the best name so far.
Carl.
Bring me Carl.
What would you say is the most iconic guitar in history? Like when you see the guitar, you're like, that's that guy's guitar.
Eddie Van Halen.
Van Halen's?
Yes.
I think you're right. I didn't pull the trigger on it, but I found a shirt. It's just like this shirt, but it's the Van Halen guitar pattern on it, and I kind of want it. Mine would be Van Halen's is up there. Whenever I see the Gibson SG with the dark cherry wood, I automatically know it's AC/DC. Does Prince's Cloud guitar count? It does, right? Like you see that guitar and you know it's
You're
Prince's.
talking about the shaped one? Yeah.
Either the shape of his symbol or when he played the one that was a cloud.
Yeah. All right, time for Twitter trending topics. I got to admit, I don't have a lot because I'm going through some stuff. Thinking about the punishment and stuff. I first of all, before I get to the one that I do have, which might cause a little discussion, Views from Mint Street, you need to check it out.
Yeah, dropped last night. Newest episode. In this one, we go over the most recent additions and subtractions from the roster. We talk about Baker claiming that he did not say he wants to bleep them up. Talked about that for a few minutes. And then we give our projections for the first half of the regular season. We will record the next episode tomorrow afternoon, which means it'll drop Friday morning. That one is going to be basically a two-parter in that we will finish up our projections of the back half of the season and then obviously spend a hefty chunk of time breaking down week one's matchup between Carolina and Cleveland. You can get, if you are a Panthers fan or a fan of Lonzo, you can get that podcast by downloading it and subscribing to it wherever major podcasts are found. Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or Apple iTunes. Or you can search it on the Odyssey app by searching Views from Mint Street. Make sure you pick that up, download, and subscribe, and get the most recent and up-to-date and hottest takes on all things Carolina Panthers.
All right. Also, real quick, shout out to a couple of high school teammates who discovered what I'm doing now and shared the stream and everything. All right. This is funny because we talked about this off the air a little bit earlier, and then suddenly this person is trending. Max Caster is trending.
Listen! It's kind of interesting because we got the news earlier.
And he's trending for the reason that you think he's trending.
I suspect so. We got the news earlier that AEW is going to be handing out suspensions for everybody that was involved in the locker room fight between CM Punk, Ace Steel, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. There were a bunch of other people who jumped in.
By the way, according to Sports Illustrated. So
yeah, not a dirt sheet.
You know what Sports Illustrated reports on, Rob? I don't know if you knew this or not. They report on sports. Did you know that?
I did know that.
They are a
It's
reputable
right
source, an adult reputable source talking about a sport.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I was stunned that the entire front row of Monday Night Raw was inhabited by the definitely very much not real men offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs, who were all in Kansas City for Monday Night Raw. Bunch of fake dudes right there, man, with no fuzz on their peaches. Kansas City Chiefs offensive line.
Wow, I've heard that term before.
Anyway, there are a lot of suspensions that are about to be handed out in All Elite Wrestling due to that dust-up. Lonzo came forward with the theory that tonight's episode of Dynamite could be very interesting because you don't have a choice but to use the bottom half of the roster now. Omega's out, the Bucks are out, Cutler's out, Punk's out. There's a bunch of guys that were involved and are out, which means that you're going to see the younger guys get an opportunity to shine. And I don't know that there is anybody who has been doing better work lately than Max Caster, the Platinum one. I got to imagine that his burn rap tonight is going to be legendary.
Well, according to everyone who's causing it to trend, it will be, he'll say, listen, and then they'll turn his mic off.
Yeah. You out here looking like a punk. I think that... Is this thing on? That's it for us. Jim Rob's got you up next in the jungle. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel take you offsides at 3. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We are back tomorrow to do it all over again and better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Streaming, you guys are the best. Very much appreciate it. We'll see you back here